If the pop-out concert was a big win for West Coast rap, then the game's absence was a loud message. He's clearly fallen way off in the eyes of his peers, and even Dr. Dre himself. Based on how the game's been acting in recent years, it's easy to forget how major he once was for the LA scene. But back in 2005, he revived West Coast rap almost all by himself. His debut album, The Documentary, didn't just go 5 times platinum. It was Grammy-nominated, praised by critics, and straight up iconic. That album is still considered one of the greatest hip-hop projects of all time. If the mission back then was to put LA rap back on top, the game absolutely nailed it, no question. But somewhere along the way, it all started to spiral. Things got real messy, real fast. Now it looks like Dr. Dre wants nothing to do with him, like at all. It's almost like he's trying to erase the game from his legacy. And that's wild, considering Dre helped build that legacy in the first place.
Sometimes Dre me off, man. And sometimes I Dre off. But that's one of them things. Dre told me a long time ago, me and you are always going to be the way that we left off. Whatever happens in between, all of that. I got nothing but love for Dre, man. Everything that he did for me, I'm very...
So how did a rapper with so much talent, who had the whole city behind him, end up iced out by the very man who gave him his shot? Let's break it down. Back in 2003, the game was signed through a major joint deal with Interscope and Aftermath. Dre gave him the full package, all the tools to blow up. We're talking Dre's personal cosign, an all-star list of guest features, and even a power move alliance with 50 Cent and G-Unit. That whole G-Unit connection? That was all Dre and Jimmy Iovine's doing. The game's debut album, The Documentary, was built to win, and that's exactly what it did. It was a smash hit, no doubt. At the same time, 50 Cent was the biggest cash machine in the rap game. So with both of them winning, it looked like Dr. Dre had assembled a dream team ready to take over the whole industry. But then, things got ugly. The game's relationship with 50 Cent blew up, and it wasn't quiet either. The beef went very public, and when the game officially cut ties with G-Unit, that move drove a wedge between him and Dre. With millions on the line, Dre had to think like a businessman, not just a producer. So he made a cold call that basically killed any future plans he had with the game.
Financially and infrastructurally, he had to take sides with who Jimmy took sides with, which was 50. It made sense because that's where the bulk of the money was being made. And so at that point, you didn't want to 50 off because he was the breadwinner. Everybody chose sides, but I did the doctor's advocate. No one thought it was coming out. They thought I was done until one night in New York when I recorded One Blood. And I went to Funk Flex, and I went to Clue, and I went to K-Slay, Angie, and I went to every club, linked up with Jim. He took me to Harlem. We dropped it off in every club. I walked in every club. I bought bottles in every club, and I made One Blood crush. So by the time I got back to the West Coast, they were begging me to finish the album. And that's where me and 50's relationship really went left, because he didn't like the support.
But the game wasn't about to fade out without a fight. In 2006, he dropped The Doctor's Advocate, just a year after his debut, and proved everybody wrong. No Dre, no 50, and still, the album went hard.
Just because Dre wasn't on the production side of my second and third album doesn't mean that I didn't talk to Dre. Me and Dre had the same relationship. Dre always told me, no matter what happens, no matter what is said in the media, me and you are always going to be the same as we were the last time we had an in-person conversation.
Right, because I think in 2010, you posted a picture where you're wearing a bunch of Aftermath chains, and you say, it's funny how things come full circle. Didn't you say you're going back to Aftermath at that point?
No, it was basically, that was my ode to Dre, just saying that, like, I'm always going to be Aftermath. No matter.
He pulled off what most thought he couldn't. He showed the world he could still make fire without his mentors in the mix. Dr. Dre didn't just co-sign the game, he gifted him some of the hardest hooks on the documentary. Those records were loaded with Dre's magic touch. And behind the scenes, things seemed solid. When the R.E.D. album dropped in 2011, the game openly said that Dre was still giving him key advice and feedback. For years, the game kept that same energy, loyal to Dre, no matter what. Even though he wasn't officially signed to him anymore, he always held Dre down. He never showed that kind of loyalty to anyone else. He made it clear. No matter the tension, the respect and gratitude ran deep. In interviews, he even bragged that he could call Dre anytime and get him on the phone. But fast forward to now, and that call would probably go straight to voicemail. The truth is, the game slowly burned the bridges between himself, Dre, and the entire Aftermath camp, piece by piece. And what's wild is, it didn't have to go down like this. If he hadn't let his emotions run the show in an industry that moves on cold strategy, things might have played out differently. So when Dre's Compton album came out and the game only popped up on one track, fans were already raising eyebrows. At first, Game played it cool and acted like it didn't bother him. But we all know that silence said a lot. I ain't had no conversations with nobody regarding Jay-Z and the Super Bowl halftime show he put together, the Game posted on IG. I don't feel no way about not being included. It was a great show featuring iconic artists. It was a win for the culture. At first, he played it chill. In other interviews, he tried to subtly shift the blame toward Jay instead of putting it on Dre. But knowing how the game operates, always wearing his heart on his sleeve, it felt like it was only a matter of time before his true feelings came boiling over. And sure enough, he eventually cracked and admitted it stung. From that point on, something switched. The filter was gone. The floodgates flew open, and the game crossed a line he never dared to before, throwing shade at Dr. Dre himself. This was the same man he once honored with a touching tribute on his second album, now suddenly acting like Dre didn't matter at all in his rise. It didn't stop there either. He started downplaying Dre's entire role in his journey, like it was no big deal. Then out of nowhere, he threw out a wild claim, saying Kanye West, of all people, had done more for his career than Dre ever did. This is the same Kanye he once clashed with over a track about Kim Kardashian. Now that's a wild twist. Naturally, when the game made that wild Kanye over Dre claim, the internet rolled its eyes hard. And folks who knew the real story, especially those close to Aftermath, didn't hold back. They were quick to let it be known. You got those hits 'cause of Dre, bro. But in typical Game fashion, he had already gone too far. Just like he's done with others in the past, he put Dre on blast in front of the whole world. The same man who signed him, guided him, and helped shape his sound. One drunken rant, and just like that, he torched the most important connection he had in the industry. Now, he's trying to double back, walking it all back while still trying to save face. But the damage is done. After getting left out of the Super Bowl halftime show, you can tell the game took that rejection deep. Real deep.
So basically, I was a little inebriated, and I said some things that I meant. I'm not gonna take it back. I ain't no sucker. But having Dre do anything for your project, anything in your career, touch any part of anything that you're doing in life is such a blessing that I shall not ever on that again. And I haven't talked to Dre since. It don't really matter if we talk again in life. Like, I'm a stand-up Compton, LA, and it is what it is. It's just that I should have gave him more grace with what he actually did do, and that was mentor me and do things that nobody else could have done for me in my career. When I was talking on there, I was speaking in terms of what Ye was doing right at that moment, which was life-changing for me. And then I based it on Dre's lack thereof, because I took the business part personal, and I should have left it business. But Dre is Dre, bro. We all know what Dr. Dre do. Snoop is an icon. Dre is an icon. M is an icon, but M is not from LA. 50 is not from LA, and I'm not taking away from the fact that they were on the Super Bowl, but LA have been on a Detroit Super Bowl or a New York Super Bowl. It just wouldn't have happened. LA, all around the Super Bowl, and I don't get the call.
And now he's twisting it into a whole narrative, saying even his diss toward Eminem was just another way to send shots at Dre. But if it was just one moment of frustration, maybe Dre would have let it slide. The problem is, it wasn't. It fits into a whole pattern of behavior that's chipped away at Dre's respect for him over the years. And it didn't stop with M. The game even went at Kendrick Lamar, someone who always looked up to him. When Kendrick saluted Dre on Black Boy Fly, it clearly hit a nerve. Game was there when the torch got passed, with Snoop co-signing Kendrick as the next king of the West. And that stung. You can feel the jealousy and frustration in every move Game's made since. Over the years, Kendrick and the Game teamed up on multiple tracks, and from the outside, it looked like they were cool. Two major West Coast voices holding it down together. But if you look a little closer, something always felt off. Whether it was quiet competitiveness or straight-up jealousy, the game always seemed to find a way to downplay Kendrick's talent. And once again, alcohol played a role in him stirring up unnecessary drama. This time with another of Dre's protégés. Instead of supporting the new era, the game let his pride get in the way. Again. That tension may be one of the reasons Dre slowly started stepping away from the game. But what really didn't help was his refusal to back the West Coast during the Kendrick vs. Drake war. While Dre was lending his voice to the start of Not Like Us, making it clear where he stood, the game was doing the exact opposite. Backing Drake. This wasn't even the first time. Before that, the game tried to act neutral, saying Drake didn't throw shots at Kendrick on their track 100. But come on! With those subliminals flying, that take had people raising eyebrows. Then things escalated even more. Right in the middle of the Kendrick vs. Drake heat, the game posted a clip of himself bumping Energy from 2015, basically pledging loyalty to OVO. At this point, it's like he wanted people to know where he stood, and it definitely wasn't with K-Dot or the West Coast legacy he once helped build. Along with that post, the game dropped a bold caption. Too many fake rappers I gotta pretend I liked. Later on, he tried to clean it up by saying he saw Drake as a brother. But by then, the damage was done. Fans couldn't help but wonder, was he so bitter at Dre and the whole Aftermath crew that he was now turning his back on his own Compton roots? Then came the real red flag. The game was nowhere to be seen at Kendrick's pop-out show. A moment that brought the entire West Coast together, and he missed it? People definitely started side-eyeing that. No matter how hard the game tries to spin his story, it's pretty clear why Dre doesn't mess with him anymore. He's dissed nearly every rapper tied to Aftermath and proven time and time again that he's unpredictable and unstable in the public eye. At this point, Dre knows exactly what it means to deal with the game. Drama, disloyalty, and a whole lot of trouble. And honestly, can you really blame him? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Share this with your crew. We've got more wild stories coming.